Hello Saniya, what's up?
Hi Aurick, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. By the way, happy Navratri and happy Shubha Ashtami.
Shubha Ashtami.
Okay, to all our listeners, I hope all of your festivities are going well. And हम क्या कहते हैं ऐसे दिनों पे भी काम करते हैं because हमें अब आदत लग गई है बातें करने
We like doing this.
Yes, yes. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about long distance relationships.
Okay. So in today's episode, yes, we're talking about long distance relationships. We'll talk about the role of trust, good long distance dating ideas, challenges to intimacy, balancing independence or online. मतलब आप कैसे support कर सकते हो अपने partner को, and what are the pros and cons of being in a long distance relationship. But yeah, if it gets a little too serious, because long distance relationships are something that can be very, very challenging for you, I think it is important to talk it from a very serious sense. But we will also try to find the good and the nice side of long distance relationships.
Yeah, if there is love, there will be love.
All right. So on that note, let's start. So before we start with discussing everything, let's find a hook to it, and let's you say in one sentence anything about long distance relationship that you believe in. Then I'll say one opinionated heavy sentence.
नहीं वो तो हो गए opinionated यार because
नहीं एक sentence में अगर कुछ बोलना हो तो
they are hard but they can work if you are willing to work for it.
Yeah, and like I said in our previous podcast, long distance relationships are just like situationships. They're not real relationships.
Oh damn, no! मैंने तो जो किया यार मैंने तो सच्चे दिल से किया था ठीक है those are like full blown relationships.
Right.
So how?
Okay, all right. तो चलो बताते हैं. So let's start with have you been in a long distance relationship yourself?
नहीं, I have been in long distance relationships
Plural, multiple of them. Interesting.
इतने multiple ऐसे लग रहा है 10-15 थे. नहीं 2 of them but हाँ.
But yeah. 2 out of 3 is
ठीक है fine whatever. 66.66%. I hope I'm not wrong. I'm an engineer. I hope my math is not wrong.
Right. So how has your experience been around long distance? Okay, before that I'll tell you that I have been in a long distance relationship, but it originated in the place that we were together, and then we moved away, and then we moved back together in the same city. But then by then क्या कहते चीजें बदल रही थी तो breakup हो गया. But anyway, so
जो हो ही जाता है हमेशा कहने में. Okay. Yeah, so my experience has been kind of like mixed sort of. So I anyway work for my relationships, right? I feel like they should not feel like work, but then you do have to work for your relationships. So basically my experience overall has been like ठीक है जबरदस्ती कभी कभी कुछ चीजें थोड़ी टफ हो जाती है जरूरत से ज्यादा but then they are worth it, so my experience has been kind of mixed, but then I would never write off a long distance relationship. You can make it work, but yeah, it is definitely tough. Some things are वो ऐसा होता है ना कि अरे यार अगर हम same city में होते तो there would have been so many things which would have actually been easier, and you're adding that complexity to a relationship, and relationships themselves turn out to be complex somewhat, right? So then you're adding another layer to it that you also have to work on.
All right. नहीं तो पर पता है the whole point of a relationship is to be in the vicinity of the person and to feel the love and actually be visible around somebody, right? People say that जो दिखता नहीं है वो क्या कहते हैं out of sight is out of mind, right? So same way, if you are not in a relationship which is very strong, will it ever last? मतलब there can't be any certainty that it will last, because there is a important part to your relationship which is physical touch, physical presence, and not just touch. Let's say not even talk about sex or any other thing or cuddling, but generally a physical presence is a very, very important thing. अगर वो बहुत ज़्यादा frequency में नहीं हो रही है तो फिर I think anything anyways dies down.
See, anything anyway will always die down if it is supposed to die down. Somebody who is I have this very famous saying sort of which I live by, which is like somebody who is sleeping next to you could also be like cheating on you, or you could have like an emotional disconnect with them. Then how is that physical proximity helping you, right? What if you are like sleeping on the same bed but you are like you don't care about each other, you are not talking to each other, you are literally facing each other, you're facing away from each other sort of. So then basically the magic or whatever you call it, that is gone, right? So even though you are in their physical proximity, it's not helping you.
So I will just generally tell you, cheating aside, everything aside, ये तो relationships में ऊपर नीचे तो होता ही रहता है. See, every relationship will have its highs and lows, right? But the thing is, the only thing that I think the only thing that makes a relationship survive is shared activities, right? It is very important for you to have similar passions, similar, outlooks, similar visions, and then do those, activities that actually fulfill those visions, right? Agar wo nahi hoga, to then at some point in time, any relationship which is bound by sex or love will anyways die down, because new experiences is what keep you together. New experiences make things exciting, right? So I will, bring my statement back a little bit, and I'll say a little bit that not all long distance relationships are situationships, but the only way long distance relationships can survive, and they will survive only if you have an end date in mind or an end goal in mind, right? End date will be after, let's say, a certain year, we'll move together into the same city, we'll take up a new job, or end goal could be we will get married. If you keep being in a long distance relationship more than, I think, 2 years, I think most of the relationships will wither and die down.
Yeah, I kind of low-key agree, and I also have like a rule, like long distance relationships would only survive if you have like a set frequency of meeting, right? So it should ideally be once a month, and then you reserve like 4 to 5 days for them, and then spend those 4 to 5 days together with each other.
Right.
That is how you can still feel that they are there in your life, you are taking time out for them, and you're still with each other. But it cannot be like all 30 days, but at least you get those 4 days for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I know it's not enough, but then it cannot survive if you don't ever meet, or you're meeting like once in 4 months or something. Then it's not going to survive. You need to, and I also agree with your point. You need to see their face. You need to be in their physical proximity. And also, पता है कई बार क्या होता है long distance relationships में, if you don't meet often, right? So चीजें बहुत delay हो जाती है. कोई चीजें तुम्हें शायद पता नहीं 2 महीने पहले पता लग गई होती है अगर तुम हर weekend hang out कर रहे होते, versus अगर तुम उनसे बस 2 महीने में एक बार मिल रहे हो, for example, then you are not going to know that well about them. Also, there's another point to it कि जो मैंने अभी बोला कि यार 4 दिन मिले थे, but somebody can pretend really well for those 4 days, right?
Exactly.
But if we are in each other's vicinity, then we'll actually the whales will fall down sooner rather than later.
Right. So my mother used to always say कि जब तक किसी के साथ घर नहीं करोगे, मतलब until you live with somebody, you can't know who they are, right?
Yeah.
And see, even I would say with couples who live in the same city, meet every day also, it is very easy to keep up a persona, right? That this is who I am, this is the cool me, this is the nice me, right? But जब आपको क्या कहते हैं, एक same bathroom share करना है, same room share करना है, same चीजें share करनी है, जहाँ पे you could have smaller conflicts, तब आपको पता लगता है कि यार the strength of that relationship, right? And वो क्या कहते हैं, तो this is what I say, right? लोगों को 4 साल normal relationship में vicinity में रह के नहीं पता लगता इंसान क्या है, तो long distance में आप कैसे ही judge करोगे?
It makes it tougher. Yeah, I agree. And also to that point, see, live-in में भी like ऐसे बहुत लोग होते हैं who are like, ठीक है यार, live-in कर लिया, ठीक है, but now we are like bored of this person and let's just leave this person because they're like. And to your point, I've heard some people say this exact same thing. So I know of a couple who did like a relationship and they were in the same city for like 1.5, 2 years and बहुत अच्छा जा रहा था their relationship. And then they were like, let's move in together. And when they moved in together, it did not work out. They like immediately, almost after 2-3 months, they just broke off, saying that we cannot live with each other. Yep. So I agree. It's not just about pretenses. Maybe I'm being my authentic self, you're also being your authentic self. But घर जाके तुम अपने actual true self में you let your guards down and you are in your entire जो actual personality बोलनी चाहिए ना, you are like that. You have no kind of
freedom of me space. So I think that's an important topic that we have to talk about at some point in time. But I think me space is very important to a lot of people, right? So what happens when you start sharing all of your life with someone, right? So generally what happens is that you don't find a lot of time for yourself, right? To some people like me, it is very important to have my own space. Even while I'm with somebody, I will give my 100% to that relationship, but I also have to give 100% to myself for some amount of time, right? And that is taken away when you start living with somebody all through the,
so basically you are speaking about personal space, which I am a fan of. I am also this kind of like this, like I need my personal space. I will love you till death, but then if I am like, I need these 2 hours to myself, please don't disturb me for those 2 hours or you like hell is going to fall. Right. Like don't, I value my personal space a lot and I will also value your personal space. It's like it goes both ways, right? So to that point, somebody even who's like not living with you can also barge in on your personal space with all of the digital devices that we have right now, right? So somebody could be texting you all day or calling you like very frequently. So that like you need to like establish your boundaries both when you are living with someone, that becomes like stronger, and also when you are away from each other, because digitally you can still be in someone's presence. And to your point, when you're living with someone, I think that is how you would know, right? If you're comfortable in each other's silences, if you are okay with ठीक है यार वो अपना he's doing his own thing, I'm doing my own thing, and then जब हमें बात करनी तो हम कर भी ले रहे, so that is how a healthy relationship is going to work, right? हमारे घर पे भी like it's not like mom and dad would keep talking to each other all the time. ऐसा नहीं होता.
बट उनके जनरेशन तो वो सीन ही नहीं था ना. नाउ द पीपल आर एनीवे सीकिंग द काइंड ऑफ पार्टनर दैट दे वांट. तो उनको चाहिए कि यार ये बात, अगर मुझे बात करना पसंद है, आई एम लुकिंग फॉर समबडी आई कैन इंटरेक्ट एंड कम्युनिकेट ऑल द टाइम आल्सो, राइट? तब तो यार यू वर पुट इनटू रिलेशनशिप्स की भाई अरेंज मैरिज है, इवन लव मैरिजेस में इतनी हाई एक्सपेक्टेशंस नहीं थी तब जब जो आज है, राइट? सो आज मुझे चाहिए इंसान जो मुझसे बात कर सके. इनफैक्ट फॉर मी मोर इंपॉर्टेंट देन एनीथिंग एल्स इज इंटेलेक्चुअल कंपैटिबिलिटी एंड यू नो कन्वर्सेशनल क्या कहते हैं कंपैटिबिलिटी. इफ आई कांट टॉक टू हर, क्योंकि कितनी ही भी एक्टिविटीज कर लो, टू गेट टू दोज एक्टिविटीज यू नीड टू स्पेंड कंसिडरेबल अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम ट्रैवलिंग, स्लीपिंग टुगेदर, गोइंग टू होटल्स, सो और ईटिंग फॉर दैट मैटर. अगर आप सेम टेबल पर बैठ के ढंग से बातें नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो फिर क्या ही है, राइट? सो relationships will not last, and that's why most people, because of you know want seeing other people's relationships and because of social media, think that life में excitement 100% of the time चाहिए. but आपको कई बार वो हाई एनर्जी से लो एनर्जी में आना होता है, और तब क्या कहते हैं आपका पार्टनर आपके ऊपर हावी हुआ रहता है ना, तो आपको वो भी नहीं पसंद आता है.
हाँ वही तो है ना, that is the whole compromise.
So yeah, exactly. So coming back to long distance relationships, I think what happens is that because you've been alone for so long as a couple, when you come together, वो तुम्हारा ना पीक इमोशन बाहर आ रहा है, राइट? तब आपको नहीं पता लग रहा है कि वो क्या कहते हैं उसका नेचुरल स्टेट है, उसका क्या कहते हैं मतलब यू नो भड़ास, वो जो मतलब फ्रस्ट्रेशन थी ऑफ नॉट बीइंग विद यू, वो सामने आके प्यार फोटो सॉरी लव बॉम्ब हो रहा है, या जनरली क्या कहते हैं आप पे प्यार आ रहा है.
think of it this way, and it kind of makes sense. Yes, because तुम you know तड़पे हुए थे एक दूसरे से मिलने के लिए, तो वो 4 दिन तो भाई सारी चीजें अच्छी लगने वाली है कि you know कि this person is going to go, so it's like kind of like a filmy thing, right? कि okay I only have you for 4 days, तो इसमें शायद तुम pretend नहीं भी करोगे, but you'll still be on your best behavior. Okay,
so even when let's say you visited your partner visited you, I hope both of you did, but the thing is that
I always visit people.
Yeah, but the thing is that you know, tell me this, हुआ होगा ना कि हम 2 दिन के लिए मिलने वाले, 3 दिन के लिए मिलने वाले, let's do something, let's make it magical, let's make it worthwhile, right? You're not at your base self ever. Did you ever do that कि नहीं बस मिलते हैं जैसे आके randomly क्या कहते हैं बस घर पे chill करेंगे? Never did that. You did some activity, right? So that is what I'm saying. Those activities have to be a part of your life consistently. तब जाके आपको लगता है कि यार आपको ये बंदा खाते हुए चबाते हुए सही लग रहा है.
खाते हुए देखो बाहर नहीं पता लगेगा, लेकिन घर पे कैसे खाता है वो, बिकॉज मैं खुद भी भाई मैं बिल्कुल पाती मार के बैठ के खाती हूँ, तो अगर इफ दैट इज लाइक पुटिंग हिम ऑफ तो फिर आई कांट हेल्प इट, राइट? सो ही नीड्स टू सी मी इन दैट अवतार आल्सो. Like I can be all posh बाहर, but then घर पे तो मैं वैसी रहूंगी जैसे मैं रहूंगी, right?
So let's also talk about you know the trust and insecurities in a long distance relationship. Okay, so now tell me, trust is very very important, right? Like अगर आपको पता है कि आपका पार्टनर पास नहीं है, तो वो उसके पास पूरी खुली छूट है कि वो कुछ भी कर सकता है, right? And he can definitely very easily hide it, right? Unless you're like Sherlock Holmes की माँ, you will not be able to figure that out, right? So the thing is that trust is very important. But trust का opposite side is insecurities also. Just because one partner is exuding trust, he is showing trust, he is able to build that trust with you, sometimes your insecurities can also kill that relationship, right? कि भाई यार कुछ तो कर रहा होगा यार, मैं शक्की इंसान हूँ तो मैं सोचता रहूंगा कि कुछ तो
गड़बड़ है. मैं देखो बोल रही हूँ कि अगर कोई शक्की इंसान होगा ना, तो वो तेरे से शादी करके सेम घर में रह के भी तुझसे शक करेगा, चेकिंग योर फोन्स, एंड क्योंकि ऐसा तो कभी नहीं होना ना, 24 घंटे तुम ग्लू से तो नहीं चिपके हुए, कोई तो कहीं जाएगा, वो कहीं जाएगी, तू कहीं जाएगा. सो इट्स यू आर गोइंग टू बी अपार्ट फ्रॉम सम टाइम, एंड ऑब्वियसली दैट्स हेल्दी आल्सो. तो जो शक करने वाला इंसान होगा ना, वो उसमें भी शक, अच्छा किसके साथ गया था, अच्छा मुझे जिससे बोला है कि इससे मिल रहा हूँ इसी से मिल रहा हूँ कि नहीं, अच्छा इफ ही और शी हैज लाइक द फ्रेंड्स ऑफ ऑपोजिट जेंडर, इज दिस जस्ट अ फ्रेंड? तो वो अगर तुम्हारी नेचर है तो भाई, एंड अगर तुम्हारी इनसिक्योरिटी, तो नो वन कैन हेल्प इट, एंड अ लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रिलेशनशिप विल देन बी वर्स फॉर ऑब्वियसली दोज पीपल. बट अगेन लाइक आई सेड, राइट, किसी को चीट करना होगा तेरे बाजू में बैठ के 2 फीट अवे से भी चीट कर लेगा, और किसी को करना होगा तो
यू नो इट्स अ थिंग दैट जब आप पे कोई नजर नहीं रख रहा होता है ना, यू आर मच मोर फेयर इन डूइंग अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दैट यू वुड नॉट डू, राइट? मॉरल कोड तब नहीं एग्जिस्ट करता बहुत लोगों के लिए जब कोई नहीं देख रहा हो, राइट? इन आइसोलेशन क्या कहते हैं, सब कोई कुछ ना कुछ गलत तो कर ही सकते हैं. वेरी फ्यू पीपल हैव दैट सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन कि नहीं मुझे कोई नहीं देख रहा तो भी मैं चोरी नहीं करूंगा, राइट? या पैंडेमिक है भाई, पूरी दुनिया में आग लग गई है, मैं यहाँ से स्टोर से क्या कहते हैं 4 गोल्ड के बार चुरा के ना ले जाऊं. इट्स अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग कैरेक्टर trait, right? So what I'm trying to ask you is that because a lot of people have told me and I have felt it myself that जब आप एक शहर में साथ हो तो चलो वो सब है, चीटिंग हो सकती है, नहीं हो सकता, डजंट मैटर, बट यू स्टिल टुगेदर, राइट? द मोमेंट यू मूव अवे, द मोमेंट यू गेट बिजियर, एंड इट्स नॉट विद लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रिलेशनशिप, डिस्टेंस कुड भी क्या कहते हैं, लेट्स से कम्युनिकेटिव डिस्टेंस आल्सो, राइट? जब आप बातें करना बंद करते हो तो वैसे भी रिश्ता टूट जाता है। तो वही सोचो ना, जब इंसान एक दूसरे शहर में चला जाता है, दूसरी कमिटमेंट्स हैं, दूसरे लोगों से मिलना है, धीरे धीरे, because see, just like physical objects, there are only certain amount of people who can take a place in your heart and your head, right? तो अगर दूसरे लोग हैं जो सब्स्टिट्यूट कर रहे हैं, गिविंग देम मोर, क्या कहते हैं, ऑक्सीटोसिन, सेरोटोनिन और व्हाटएवर एल्स गुड हार्मोन्स, तो इमेजिन क्या कहते हैं, दे विल फॉरगेट अबाउट यू, राइट?
हाँ, तो वही तो मैं बोल रही हूँ, जो सच्चा प्यार होता है ना वो दिल से होता है, दिमाग से होता है यार।
सच्चा प्यार,
तो मैं करती हूँ ना सच्चा प्यार, मेरे से पूछ, तो दैट इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग कि वो लोग हमेशा तुम्हारे दिलो दिमाग में होते हैं, एंड दैट इज हाउ द मॉरल कोड वर्क्स फॉर यू, कि मुझे हमेशा कोई देखने वाला क्यों चाहिए यार, मेरे तो दिल में वो इंसान है ना, मुझे और कोई पसंद नहीं आएगा, मुझे किसी के देखने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी, और अगर मुझे जरूरत लग रही है ना, तो दैट मींस आई डू नॉट लव दैट फर्स्ट पर्सन इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस, तो फिर एनीवे क्यों ही रखना।
बट ओके, आई टॉक अबाउट क्लिंगीनेस हियर। देखो, मेरे को ये बहुत लेट रियलाइज हुआ लाइफ में कि अगर यार उसको मेरी जिंदगी में रहना है तो दे विल बी इन माय लाइफ, अगर उनको जाना है दे विल ऑलवेज गो, एंड वी कांट डू एनीथिंग टू स्टॉप एनीबॉडी,
एब्सोल्युटली,
एंड वी कांट एनीवेज केज एनीबॉडी इन आवर लाइफ, राइट? सो दैट इज व्हाट you should not also, right? But the whole point is, I realized कि there is a dark side to it. A lot of people, because of their insecurities, because of something missing in their life, they latch on to people, they get in toxic situations and they can't let go. So how would you identify कि यार just because ये long distance है, because मेरे को इस बंदे की आदत हो रखी है, I am not letting them go?
यार वो तो यू कैन डू इन पर्सन, तो और भी ज्यादा नहीं होगा, बिकॉज ओ नाउ आई हैव अ हैंग आउट बडी जिस साथ में हमेशा खाने जाती हूँ, हमेशा मूवीज के लिए आती हूँ, हमेशा आती हूँ, राइट? एंड दैट इज द होल थिंग जो आजकल है कि यार वी डोंट वांट टू फील लोनली, एंड लोनलीनेस इज वेरी कॉमन इन आवर जनरेशन, so that is what I'm saying. Are you always ask yourself the question, are you doing it out of love or are you doing it because you're feeling lonely?
Because I'll tell you, so there was this girl I met on a date, and then she told me that she had been in a 4-year long relationship, in a long distance relationship, and it was completely long distance from the time it started till the time it ended, right? This guy used to come from wherever he used to come to, whichever city, and वो तभी आता था जब trade shows वगैरह होते थे, right? So every 2-3 months he used to come, so it's very convenient कि business के साथ mix हो गया. A lot of people have another party in a different city that they would generally visit. Do you understand? You're not the primary person. There is a primary person at home. ऐसा भी होता है. And 4 साल बाद उस लड़की को पता लगता है, and वो कहती है, what the fuck was I doing in this relationship?
हाँ यार, वो तो obviously like it becomes easier, I would say, but then अगर किसी को कुछ करना होगा तो वो वैसे भी कर लेगा, and then I am of the belief if someone is of that, उसके ऐसे intentions है ना, तो उसके हमेशा रहेंगे, and then अच्छा ये कि मुझे उसकी true nature समझ में आ गई ना, क्योंकि देख ऐसा कभी नहीं होने वाला है कि what if there is like we are together, जैसे तूने ही बोला, right? अभी we are in the same city, अचानक से he gets like a job opportunity somewhere else or I get an opportunity somewhere else and we move apart, right? So तब भी ये सेम चीज होती है, तो यार you have to hold on to a person mentally and emotionally, so it cannot always, if you are just held by physical distance, then तो वही हो गया ना कि you are in it mostly for the physical thing rather than the emotional thing. If someone matches you emotionally and is actually meeting your intellectual and emotional needs, then no one can replace them.
Okay, so let me rephrase the whole conversation. Let's start a new perspective on this. Tell me, if you get a match, start swiping and you match somebody from say different city which is at least 700 kilometers away, right? जिसमें तुमको 8 घंटे लग जाएंगे जाने में by road, ठीक है? Now the thing is that would you want to get into a relationship with that person no matter how good or bad they are versus somebody who's just 5 kilometers away? What would you take as a decision now, knowing that you've been in long distance relationship? What would you do?
Yeah, now knowing everything, I would actually be like, for once in my life I do not want it to be more complicated than it anyway is, so I would prefer somebody who's in my vicinity. So for now my goal is like I would prefer somebody who is in my vicinity as compared to somebody who is farther away from me, because I've like been there, done that, and did not work out, right?
Yeah.
So probably try something new for once and give myself the peace of mind. Why do I also always need to go the harder route, right? Yeah. Life can be easy also, so let me just do the आसान and peace of mind वाली चीज.
Okay, all right. I think हमने अभी तक बहुत ना pessimistic इस पे क्या कहते हैं बातें कर रहे हैं. Let's make it a little fun and exciting. So tell me some long distance dating ideas. मतलब कैसे, how do you go on actual dates? क्या कहते हैं जब आप बहुत दूर हो, आप क्या करते हो? Video call dates करते हो? Like I had this great idea, you know, my first date with this long distance, that Kolkata girl was like, you know, what we'll do is we'll go to your favorite restaurant, which is Chili's. We'll also go, I like Chili's also. हम एक काम करेंगे, हम दोनों Chili's जाएंगे अलग-अलग और हम video call करेंगे.
Yeah,
so tell me, what are some things that couples can do? क्या कहते हैं?
मैंने ये देखा हुआ, मैंने Starbucks में भी लोगों को देखा है, like they are on a video call with each other and it's basically a date. वो आ रहा है समझ में. So people, this is a very common idea. Otherwise, something that I used to do with one of my exes was we used to watch a movie together by like sharing our screen, or you get those apps, right?
Yeah.
So we are basically watching the same movie together, yeah. But we are not. You get the point, right? So जो भी हो रहा है, जो उसे scene दिख रहा है, वो मुझे भी scene दिख रहा है, and we can see each other's face and reactions also, like you would अगर तुम theater में या you are sitting next to each other also. So basically you get that experience. That is one of those things. And then ye wala to is very common, go to a cafe and then have food together and on a video call. Right. So that's one of those. So,
right. So let's now talk about how to survive long distance relationships. Let's not make it all gloomy कि मान लो क्या कहते हैं, like I said कि यार you must have an end date or an end goal in mind. अगर वो scenario है, how to make it a more pleasant experience. इसलिए मैं पूछ रहा हूँ कि यार we can give our listeners some ideas कि ये date
you know what, I have seen some of my like school people have been in long distance relationships for 7-8 whole years with a little bit of overlap जहाँ पे 1-2 साल वो साथ में थे, but everybody had their own careers, own colleges in different cities, and they actually got married to each other, and those are some of the happiest relationships that I've seen. So people, if that is what I'm saying, if you want to make it work, you can actually make it work. अगर दिल में तुम्हारा वो सच्चा प्यार होगा ना, and finally obviously they chose a city and they settled together, right? So they, पता है इसमें भी क्या end goal होता है? End goal ये होता है कि this is it for me, you are it for me. जब वो feeling अगर तुम्हें आ जाए ना कि this is my person for the rest of my life, then you will anyway be like, हाँ शादी तो इससे करनी है ना, तो at some point you will figure out, बैठ के have that conversation कि okay ठीक है अब करनी है, and उससे पहले तेरे क्या career goal है, मेरे क्या career goal है, can we actually move to the same city and make this work, और अगर थोड़ा time apart है, but end में तो हम साथ रहने वाले, right?
Yeah, so to that I will say that yeah, that's a good thing and a good perspective to have, but I will also say that at some point in time, very early in your long distance relationship, at least a year later, year and a half later, have this conversation of who this person is and do I want to settle with them and what will it take to settle with them, right? Because एक इंसान हो सकता है आपने कभी realize ही नहीं करा कि वो commitment phobic है या वो क्या कहते हैं relationship चाहता है कि नहीं, आपने अपने दिमाग में सारी चीजें सजा ली हैं भाई.
I have done this.
Exactly. तो आपने सब सोच लिया, but the other person wasn't there at all. तो 4 साल आपने बर्बाद हुए, right? So at some point early on in your relationship, figure out what is it that you both want together, right? Otherwise 4 साल बाद don't get caught surprise कि भाई ये हो गया मेरे साथ. Anyway, होता है. So how do people? So okay, that means technology is your friend, right? Use technology to
yes, absolutely. यार बिना टेक्नोलॉजी के तो बिल्कुल पॉसिबल नहीं. आई डोंट नो कि लोग खत लिख के कैसे लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रिलेशनशिप में रहते हैं. आजकल नहीं चलने वाला वो.
Right. So, alright. So how does one deal with different time zones, right? Like मतलब.
Oh damn, I would never. मतलब मैं बात भी नहीं करती यार. अगर कोई मुझे आते भी है ना मैचेस या समथिंग ऑन एनी ऐप, आई एम लाइक यार प्लीज तुम दूर हो ना, बहुत साथ समंदर पार ही रहो तुम प्लीज. आई कांट डील विद इट बिकॉज अगेन यार तो फिर तुम और भी चीज उसमें ऐड कर रहे हो. एंड आई वाज लाइक इन अ टॉकिंग स्टेज विद वन गाय हु लिव्ड इन यूके, सो देयर इज लाइक अ 4.5 difference, and then it's like it was a little bit tough, and I've seen people do like the US wala time zone also, the whole 8-hour time difference. I'm like I would never. I don't know how people survive that. People literally, some people, you know, अब जैसे उनकी सुबह हो रही होती है, तुम्हारी literally 12-1-2 बज गए हैं, तो 1-2 बजे भी कॉल पे बात करें, but that is not sustainable. I don't think so. It would never.
Exactly. So I think that's what I wanted to bring up, and that's why I brought time zones. Is that it's, see, एक तो physical vicinity ना होना is difficult in itself, right? कि आपको craving होती है मेरा पास रहे बंदा, but अगर आप क्या कहते हैं आपके usual times पे बात नहीं कर पाओ, जैसे you get off work at 6, 7, 8ish, right? And उसके बाद घर पहुंच के 10 बजे अगर आप बात नहीं कर पाओगे, that is a whole next level of loneliness that you might feel in while being in a relationship.
Yes, that is worse, right? Which is why I'm saying कि वो तो another level of मतलब you are complexity you are adding to it, so just don't.
So we are saying that different time zones है बहुत ज़्यादा, तो
and मैंने कई
try मत करो.
हाँ मतलब मैंने कई breakups भी इसलिए देखे हैं like बहुत अच्छे relationships से, but actually before one person wanted to, like for example, move to the US and one wanted to stay, so they took like a mature decision together before the other person went, yaar let's just end this here because that is never going to work out. So, and I think that is the wise thing.
It happened with me also. So my long distance relationship and thing actually also ended in a way that the person had different goals, right? They said let's get married and then I will go out to study, and I said why? please go out and study. What if you change as a person? What if you find someone
Yes.
there? And if you believe in me and if I love you, I'm still gonna be here. It's not gonna change that, right? But why would you want to, lock yourself
Bandhna
in
hai, yeah.
and then go there, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of things change when you move to a different country or different culture
Absolutely,
altogether, right?
absolutely. And you should give yourself that freedom to, explore and then choose for yourself. And I keep saying this, अगर end में भी आके इतनी देश दुनिया देखी तुम्हें फिर भी मैं ही पसंद आ रही हूँ, मुझे तुम ही पसंद है, that is it. That is your person, right?
Right. And so what are, intimacy. How is intimacy affected in a long distance relationship? Do you think it's still as intimate, or is it more intimate when you're in a long distance?
It is more intimate. I'll tell you how. Because this is kind of like I think even I read about this somewhere ki, if you see, when you're in physical proximity and you are doing it a lot and you are doing the whole thing बहुत ही ज़्यादा बार, right? Because बहुत आसान, it's very easy. So then it is not special for you. But when you know कि यार तुम्हें किससे एक ही बार मिलने मिल रहा है, right? So you are actually holding off on that for so many days कि when you meet and when you actually do it, then it is literally absolutely fire. Because like I was saying, right? So there is this theory कि if you want to spice up your life, then actually refrain for probably 7 days, 10 days, whatever, and then do it, consciously refrain, even if you are in each other's vicinity. So इसमें तो ये चीज automatically हो जा रही है. So that is one thing how.
But मैं अभी ना बहुत funny चीज बोलूँगा. You might then agree to that also.
What?
Okay? Happens with dessert and songs. Imagine you eat something क्या कहते हैं every day, you get bored of it, and because क्या कहते हैं you don't get to eat something or enjoy something because those are exclusive events in your life, जैसे इंटरवल पे मिलना, राइट? दैट्स व्हाई यू आर मोर एक्साइटेड. अगर वो एकदम आपके दाल बराबर हो जाए तो फिर आपको तो फिर मजा ही नहीं आएगा. सो इमेजिन, थिंक ऑफ इट फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव आल्सो ना. इट इज एक्सप्लोसिव एंड फायरवर्क्स है बिकॉज़ क्या कहते हैं देयर वाज अ गैप एंड बिकॉज़ बोथ ऑफ यू वर बबलिंग टू.
नहीं वो ठीक है, हाँ, बट
ये तो है ना कि एकदम लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रह रहे हो, उसके बाद सडनली साथ रहने लग जाओ.
आई एग्री, बट सी देयर इज समथिंग नोन एज फिजिकल केमिस्ट्री आल्सो. इफ यू डोंट हैव इट यू विल नेवर हैव इट. उसमें तो कुछ है ही नहीं. तुम 50 साल बाद मिलो या तुम, if there is that chemistry, तो it will always be there.
Okay.
If it is not there, it's not there. But हाँ, अगर इसमें मतलब that refrain वाली thing actually works is what I'm saying.
Interesting. Let's talk about something which is very important and crucial to long distance relationship, which is traveling to see your partner, right?
Yeah.
So there is a big part of travel is the financial consideration.
Yes,
right?
We are going to talk about etiquette.
So tell me, फाइनेंशियल कंसिडरेशंस कैसे होने चाहिए? मतलब हाउ डज वन प्लान फॉर दीज ट्रिप्स? एंड आपके पास अंधाधुंध पैसा फिर तो यार प्राइवेट जेट लेके रोज देखो. बट मान लो इफ यू आर इन अ स्ट्रिक्ट टाइम शेड्यूल एंड क्या कहते हैं कंस्ट्रेंट ऑफ टाइम एंड मनी, तब क्या करना चाहिए एंड किसे क्या करना चाहिए?
मैं एक सच बात बताऊं, लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रिलेशनशिप्स विल नॉट सर्वाइव विदाउट मनी. ये दिस इज लाइक अ वेरी हार्श ट्रूथ. यू नीड टू हैव सम काइंड ऑफ स्पेयर इनकम, मतलब स्पेयर मनी इन योर हैंड व्हिच यू कैन आराम से स्पेंड, राइट? Because if you are in a financial position where you have to think twice before booking flights, any flights in general, then it would be tough for you. Okay? And coming to etiquettes, it's like I think you should split everything. Because like I said, like if for example I am coming to meet my partner, I'm going to meet my partner, I'm paying for the flights, I've probably booked the hotel or whatever, then my partner, when the moment that I'm stepping into his city, everything he's going to take care of, like the food, the petrol, the whatever it is, right? So either you can split it that way, because again, like this is another topic in itself, but I don't encourage like splitting down to the middle when it comes to your partner, because that feels very weird to me. Like it can be like तू अभी दे दे मैं अभी दे देती हूँ, something like that, but you have like a mental note also, right? कि अच्छा ठीक है, you अपने आप से पता चल जाता है यार इसने अभी तक 15 जगह दे दिया है, चलो मैं अभी 10 जगह दे देती हूँ, kind of like that, right? So it does not always have to be split down to the T कि अरे यार ये तू मेरे 632 रुपए पॉइंट 5 वापस कर. No,
not 632 exactly, but what I mean to say is, see, either you can do this way कि I took the flight and then I came, तो मैंने वो खर्चा करा, versus क्या कहते हैं there could be a position where your partner is not क्या कहते हैं going to afford that entire flight also. So what you do is you say कि the whole 4-day 5-day thing is a क्या कहते हैं shared expense, कि हमने total खर्चा करा है, and then we split क्या कहते हैं according to our क्या कहते हैं capacities of paying also.
हाँ, अच्छा, again ये splitting में भी ना this is something very crucial in general कि ऐसा हमेशा by टू भी नहीं हो सकता. इट इज यूजुअली, व्हाट इज द टर्म फॉर इट, लाइक यू कैन नॉट क्वांटिफाई इट लाइक दैट. इट हैज टू बी सब्जेक्टिव. फॉर एग्जांपल, समवन इज अर्निंग 1000 रुपीज एंड समवन इज अर्निंग 100 रुपीज. तो 100 रुपीज वाले के लिए 10 रुपए की जितनी वैल्यू होगी 1000 रुपए वाले के लिए नहीं होगी. तो इट हैज टू बी ऑलवेज नॉट इक्वल शेयर, इक्वल शेयरिंग. इट हैज टू बी इक्वेटेबल. सो इफ 1000 रुपीज वाला 100 रुपए दे रहा है, सो अगर तू अपने सैलरी का 10% दे रहा हूँ, मैं अपनी सैलरी का 10% दे रही हूँ, then it makes sense.
Exactly.
It cannot be by 2. You cannot expect that.
So this is something that I wanted to point out, is because in my long distance setup, what we also did was, I would say, not just long distance relationship, any kind of spending, right? Let's say any kind of spending, we said that, I would, and if अगर किसी को half करना है, and if they want to do it, it's a different decision altogether, right? But अगर नहीं करना है, so the realistic thing is कि भाई ये भी देखो what is the gap and what is the proportion of money that you're earning versus somebody who's not earning, right? And then क्या कहते हैं, put equally. So मान लो 1000 रुपए चीज पे लग रहा है, 600 मैंने दिए, 400 उसने दिए, या क्या कहते हैं 800 मैंने दिए, 200 उसने दिए, but contribution हमेशा बहुत जरूरी है. Right? And नहीं कर पा रहे हो, which is fine. So you can't blame your partner कि तू नहीं दे पा रहे हो, या you can't do this. You have to be nice also. Sometimes that's the whole point of being in a relationship. तू क्या कहते हैं, accommodate and adjust with your partners, क्या कहते हैं, shortcomings as well, right? So that is one part of it. But anyway, so what I'm saying कि contribute करो. Or I will give a nicer क्या कहते हैं thing. So generally what happens is that, like, split down the middle कब आ सकता है, is that generally आप एक काम करो, आप उनके शहर मत जाओ, और don't call them to your city. Go to a third city that you can explore together as a travel. तो आपका travel भी हो गया, vacation भी हो गया, and आप क्या कहते हैं,
मैं बता रही हूँ उसकी issue. This requires double the money, because जो बंदा मतलब वो जो उसकी सिटी नहीं है, मेरी भी सिटी नहीं है, दोनों की सिटी नहीं है, both of us are taking to and fro flights out. That is an added expense. बाकी हाँ, रहना खाना तो उसकी सिटी में भी होता है, यहाँ पे भी हो रहा है, ठीक है. So that is an added expense. तो जब तुम किसी के शहर जा रहे हो, तो एटलीस्ट उनका टू फ्रो वाली फ्लाइट तुम बचा ले रहे हो. And if the person is very busy and has a very hectic work schedule, तो I feel जिसका भी ज्यादा hectic work schedule है ना, and if they cannot take time out to travel as something, ऐसा कुछ है, तो then the other person can be like, ठीक है.
But this is a very क्या कहते हैं, okay, this is a very, what you call, long distance ship issue. Why I'll say this is because as a couple, if I'm living in the same city also, we still have to take flights to go to whichever destination, right?
हाँ, तो but that is a vacation ना.
Vacation, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ. So generally what I'm trying to say is also look at these events as vacations also. So okay, अगर साल में, okay, let's ask you, अगर एक आप long distance relationship में, साल में कितने बार आप क्या कहते हैं ट्रैवल करोगे एक दूसरे के लिए? What is the minimum?
अच्छा, एक दूसरे के लिए
मिलने जा रहे हैं, मिलने के लिए कितने बार?
तो मैं बोल तो रही हूँ,
मिनिमम कितना मिलना चाहिए?
Once a month you should, and if you can't once a month because financially थोड़ा वो रहा है, तो the max I would say 45 days में एक बार, 1.5 months, like tops. Don't be, अगर तुमने 1.5 या 2 महीने पार जहाँ होता है, I'm like, please, like let it go. नहीं हो तुम उसके साथ, छोड़ दो.
Interesting.
पता है क्योंकि ये क्या होता है, आफ्टर लाइक अ वाइल ना, यू फॉरगेट द फिजिकल मेमोरी. तुम भूल जाते हो कि इस इंसान का चेहरा रियल लाइफ में कैसे दिखता है. वीडियो कॉल तो वीडियो कॉल, बट यू फॉरगेट इन द सेंस यू.
So you're telling what I just said, out of sight out of mind, वो हो ही जाएगा, eventually खत्म हो ही जाएगा.
Not that, पता है क्या बोलूं, मतलब होता है यार वो कि not forget in the sense forget, but then वही है ना, वो physical, वो जो एक bond बनता है या होता है, तो that needs to, you need to stay in touch, physical proximity वाला sort of touch with each other to maintain it also. ये ऐसा, see it's like every other thing, right? मैंने एक कार खरीद ली, तो इसका ये मतलब तो नहीं है ना कि बस हो गया. You continuously keep maintaining it for the rest of its life, right? हाँ, everything.
Exactly.
So it's like that.
So नहीं, what I'm saying is that, okay, so for me, I think at least you need to travel every क्या कहते हैं 2 months or less, right? I'm also saying that अगर आप क्या कहते हैं स्मार्ट कपल हो, और if you're क्या कहते हैं स्ट्रॉन्ग इनफ, जो तू कह रही थी ना कि अगर कुछ लोग हैं कि एकदम कमिटमेंट है, बहुत ज्यादा प्यार है, right? And they know. So वैसे भी आप अपने मुंडेन लाइफ से कितना टाइम निकाल सकते हो, right? जनरली इन अ ईयर आप कितने बड़े ट्रैवल्स पे जाते हो? 2 मैक्सिमम, right? So छोटे ट्रैवल तो मैं बहुत कर लेता हूँ, but what I'm saying is that, in that scenario, it is okay to save some money and go on these life-changing, big memory क्या कहते हैं trips also, so that they can help you bond together also. That's all I'm suggesting. Right? It is very important to be financially prudent, to understand कि भाई just because जैसे तू कह रही है कि मैं चेहरा भूल जाऊंगी या मैं टच भूल जाऊंगी, आई थिंक इफ यू कैन होल्ड ऑफ ऑन दैट, राइट, बिकॉज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे सब कुछ डाई डाउन तो करेगा ही. लाइक आई सेड, एक्टिविटीज आर इंपॉर्टेंट. तो आप क्या करो, दोनों क्या कहते हैं, बिकॉज क्या होता है ना, व्हेन यू प्लान ट्रिप्स, व्हेन यू थिंक ऑफ समथिंग व्हिच इज गोइंग टू हैपन व्हिच इज मैसिव फॉर बोथ ऑफ यू, you are still excited for that common goal, right? That's still क्या कहते हैं, you talk about it.
Also, पता है क्या, always travel with your partner, long distance or not long distance, always travel with them, because travel में you get to see another side of them also. Travel is not something जहाँ पे हमेशा things will be hunky dory. Travel में there are going to be challenges, there are going to be sometimes tight timelines, and you are exploring a new city together, right? So everyone has a different way of traveling also. Some people like me, I love exploring, so I'll be like, चलो यार यहाँ जाते हैं, यहाँ जाते हैं, यहाँ जाते हैं. I'll be like full of energy. And some people take travel as like a leisure activity कि यहाँ मैं आया हूँ तो मैं chill करूँगा. So then traveling compatibility बोल के भी एक चीज होती है. You get to understand that also when you travel together.
Okay. Interesting. तो और क्या बता सकते हो यार आप लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रिलेशनशिप के बारे में? मतलब यार मेरे को तो लगता है कि इट इज नॉट वर्थ इट. मेरे को ये लगता है कि ठीक है, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि एट द स्टार्ट ऑफ अ रिलेशनशिप अगर आपको पता है कि यार ये बहुत भसड़ होने वाली है, लाइक दिस पर्सन इज गोना बी अवे फॉरएवर एंड वी डोंट हैव अ डेफिनेट टाइम इन आवर हेड्स, राइट, आई थिंक डोंट इवन स्टार्ट, राइट. And I would also say that if you get the word together and move to a different city, then talk about how that affects your relationship in the long run. How is a new job or a new environment going to change you as a person? And then decide कि भाई if we want to deal with that also, right? Think हमें करना क्या है हमारी लाइफ में, हमें कैसे करना है, प्लान दिस आउट. ये नहीं है कि एक बंदा बहुत एक्साइटेड है कि मेरे को नई करियर अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल रही है, मैं छोड़ के जा रहा हूँ सब कुछ विदाउट आस्किंग द अदर पर्सन. दैट इज अ बिग रेड फ्लैग आल्सो, राइट. इफ यू नॉट कंसिडर्ड द अदर पर्सन ओवर योर एस्पिरेशंस, दैट मींस यू डिडंट वांट देम इन योर लाइफ एट ऑल, राइट. सो जब आप मूव भी कर रहे हो, नई अपॉर्चुनिटी आ गई है, talk to your partner, ask them how it is going to affect us, what are the financial considerations, and then figure out ki what is the game plan, because some people might never be ready for a thing. उनको पता नहीं होगा यार लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस में करना ही नहीं था. I never signed up for this. You were in a very stable job. I never thought you will move. I did not know you wanted to study further, but today तुम्हारा मन कर गया. So in those scenarios, ask your partner what are they comfortable with.
हाँ वही बोल रहा हूँ. Somebody who actually loves you, वो जो बोलते हैं ना, if you love them, you will let them go. वो थोड़ी सी चीज यहाँ पे आती है, not let them go, but in the sense कि if you truly love someone, you don't consider them like an object for you to hold on to. You want to see them grow, and you would be more than happy to and you would actually cheer for them, and you would like go for it, right? Because I want to see you grow, and तुम्हें सामने वाले के चेहरे की खुशी भी समझ आती है when they get that big of an opportunity, and you'll be like, even if they are doubting, क्योंकि ये मेरे साथ कई बार हो चुका है. So in one of my long distance relationships, I got a job opportunity in another city, and उस टाइम तक हम लोग थोड़े टाइम तक we were together only, and ऐसी कुछ वो नहीं थी कि जाऊंगी या नहीं जाऊंगी, बट ऐसा था कि I was going to change my job, and I was scared to make the move to another city because I was like, no, but I'll have to leave you, and he pushed me saying कि तू पागल है क्या, go for it, this is a very good opportunity for you, and I'm so happy that he did that for me, right? So you have to, वहाँ पे वो selflessness की भी बात आती है कि वो कहीं ना कहीं तुम्हें, you have to push them to be their best versions also. That is what a relationship is about. You cannot be like, it's not something you can hold on.
Exactly. And this is a good segue for me to ask you. See, I think affirmations are very important, right, in life and in your relationships as well. So, अगर आपका partner आपको confidence देता है, support देता है, affirmations देता है, positive ones कि भाई we can survive this. Tell me about how can somebody survive, and how important are affirmations in somebody's life?
Affirmations are anyway very important. This is my thumb rule. If your partner is not your biggest cheerleader, you are with the wrong person. As simple as that. Because क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं वो? That means ऐसा हो सकता है कि या तो तुमसे जेलस है, जो हो ही सकता है. मेनी पीपल गेट जेलस ऑफ देयर पार्टनर्स, या फिर दे आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन योर लाइफ एट ऑल, राइट? बिकॉज व्हेन यू एक्चुअली जेन्युइनली लव समवन, एंड मैं बता रही हूँ ना, जब किसी के पास कोई अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी होती है, उनके साथ कुछ अच्छा होता है, व्हेन यू सी द पर्सन दैट यू लव, व्हेन यू सी देयर फेस लाइट द हेल अप व्हेन दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट समथिंग दैट दे हैव अचीव्ड, you would immediately be like, oh my god, I love to see you this happy. If something is making you this happy, I want to see you happy. That is, वो इससे यही पता चलता है कि they actually really love you, you know. And क्योंकि वही है ना कि it's not कि मैं अपने कोई, see, people sometimes are in relationships or whatever to fill a void in their life, या loneliness वाली चीज हटाने के लिए, right? So then those are selfish reasons, and true love is not selfish.
Interesting. So yeah, how does one maintain? Okay, this is a question you asked me, which you said कि हम पूरा podcast बनाएंगे, but I want to ask you कि sometimes people are insecure of friends and generally friends of
right.
बेस्ट फ्रेंड से क्या कहते जेलस हो गए या नए सोशल लाइफ से या सोशल सर्कल से क्या कहते हैं जेलस हो गए या इनसिक्योर हो गए. सो टेल मी, हाउ डू टू पीपल actually make that a little easier, or how do you maintain a social life? Do you introduce your new friends or new colleagues to your partner also? Is that important, or is it like, would you want to know what is happening in the other person's life and who those people are? Or
you should give them space. अगर कोई बोल रहा है, you know what, I'm very excited for you to meet my friends, then go meet your friends. But you cannot, I don't think you should ask for it कि मुझे मिलवा अपने दोस्तों से. Like अगर उसे मन होगा anyway मिलवा देगी या मिलवा देगा, right? Why do you need to force that? That is their social life, and it is very healthy also for you to have a life, a social life.
So I want to ask you, how important is it to introduce families in a long distance relationship?
Absolutely important in any relationship, and in all long distance relationships. I have introduced 2 out of my 3 people to my mom, because I'm very close to my mom, not to my dad.
Okay.
It's a little bit strict.
Okay.
So but happily I've introduced them to my mom, and they have introduced, all 3 of them introduced me to their families. They took me to their home. It is like such a sweet gesture, right? So this is again introducing people like your partner to your parents is kind of like it tells me that you are kind of, I'm not going to say like serious or something, but then you value me enough to introduce me to your parents.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that after a certain point in time in any relationship, you should involve a seriousness to the whole relationship by adding your parents into the mix. But I also believe that it's very important in the long distance relationship, because you don't know क्या होता है कि एक तरफ पर्सन तो आपसे कह रहा है कि मैं बहुत प्यार करता हूँ, आप रिश्ते में हो, बट देयर एंटायर फैमिली नोज नथिंग अबाउट योर एक्जिस्टेंस, राइट? इट इज वेरी
that is a red flag.
So yeah, so that is very important to legitimize that, the larger scene of people and friends or family important people know about my existence, because वैसे तो क्या कहते हैं, I am a ghost.
Exactly, because वो तो तुम्हें देख भी नहीं रहा है, and then वो तो है. And पता है क्या, वो वही लोग करेंगे who are like very shady. They'll be like यहाँ पे, क्यों sometimes your friends will also keep you in check, right? So if मान ले उन्हें पता है मैं एक long distance relationship में और मैं यहाँ random बंदे के साथ for example make out करी, तो they will also kind of judge me, right? So if I have like bad intentions in my mind, तो मैं उन्हें नहीं बताऊंगी, so that यहाँ पे मुझे जो मन है मैं कर सकूँ. And I'm like, हाँ ठीक है, she's a single woman, कर.
Oh sorry, so those are my views on long distance relationship. Yes, they are not always situationships, but you have to be very careful and very, very committed to be in a happy relationship, in a long distance relationship. But anyways, your parting statements, Saniya?
So like I said, so यार प्यार होगा तो बिल्कुल चलेंगे, क्यों नहीं चलेंगे, बहुत अच्छे भी चलेंगे. You should not write people off just because they are not in the same city as you. Like if you actually find somebody who's like amazing and you are amazing and everything is going really well, so give it a chance. See it for yourself. लोगों की भी बातों में एक बहुत ही फेमस स्टेटमेंट है जहाँ पीपल लाइक लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस रिलेशनशिप में 4 लोग खुश रहते हैं, ठीक है? ऐसा हमेशा नहीं होता है. अगर इंसान लॉयल है ना तो वो. एंड बाय द वे, द फनी थिंग इज कि जो मेरे 3 में से 2 रिलेशनशिप्स थे, उसमें से जो दोनों लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस थे, वो दोनों में हम दोनों लॉयल थे, और जो एक रिलेशनशिप जिसमें हम साथ थे, उसी में उसने मुझे चीट किया था. सो केस इन पॉइंट, राइट? सो दिस अ लॉयल होना, दैट्स अ कैरेक्टर ट्रेट. So वो anyway
all right, so that means Saniya is trying to say give love a chance.
Yes, always.
All right, on that happy note, we'll see you again in the next episode. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Bye bye.